So I'd like to open the September 10th meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. And I do know we have a item posted for 6:59, and that is to vote to approve the additional buffer plantings for Lovis Ave, which we forgot to do on 8/27. Before we do that, I do want to take roll call, make sure we have everybody here. Frank.
I'm here.
Ken.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Teresa.
Here.
Jimmy.
Here.
And I am here, and I don't believe I forgot anybody. We do have Elaine available and Judy available. Arlie is out there also.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Arlie.
All right, so back to the original item I mentioned. We need to vote to approve the additional plantings for Lovis Ave. Would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Polling individually. Ken.
Yes.
Jimmy.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
I also vote yes. Think I got everybody? All right. We can move on to the next item. And that would be to approve the minutes from 8/27. Anybody have any comments about those minutes?
My only comment is my name gets spelled wrong. But
I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's,
Not a big
I'll play
deal.
spell check.
Any other comments, concerns, or changes? All right, hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes from 8/27?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, polling individually. Ken?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Frank?
I'll abstain. I wasn't there.
Okay, and I do vote also to approve those minutes. All right, next up is 50 Corner Parkway, which is DEP 313592. We have John Ogren, I see. And is Brian? Yeah, Brian is.
I'm here.
Brian is here also.
Yes.
All right, who'd like to lead it off, Brian or John?
I can. Sure.
Okay.
I'm happy to. Mike Manzo's here too, who's a client. I think we're headed in the right direction. I had corresponded with Elaine, and Peter Fletcher sent her a nice email today. I think what we're looking to do is really just schedule a date for Peter to go out and do his work, and make it available that if John wants to be there, or my client, or obviously any commissioners, that we would all know when that would be. And also to provide us a scope of work so we had an estimate on what the cost would be. So through Elaine, he suggested next Wednesday, the 16th at 2:30 in the afternoon, which is fine with us. And he also provided an estimate, which we thought was very reasonable, and we're fine with that. So I think those were kind of the two things that we needed to accomplish tonight. And I thank you, Elaine and Judy, for your efforts to facilitate that.
So can I just ask a question? Is it possible? It's hard for me in the middle of the afternoon. And I don't want to upset everyone's schedule. Is it possible to move that later? And if not, I'll accept it.
We could. I just don't know what Peter Fletcher's schedule is. He had offered that.
Elaine and Judy, let me know if that's going to be a huge issue, because then I'll drop it. But I would love to go and see.
How late are you looking?
Like 5:30?
Yeah, I think it's 2 hours away. So that might,
Okay.
What, Jim?
Not only that, he's going to be digging a lot of holes. It's a time-consuming thing. It's not like it. So he needs some time to do that, and then he's got to bury him, fill him back in after.
Can other members of the Conservation Commission, I know I'm sure Elaine will be there, attend?
Well, I was going to attend, and I was hoping that you guys would authorize me to represent the board, just because I can be there. Not that anyone else shouldn't go, but anyone should go if they want to go, because I think it's interesting.
Brian, can you repeat the date and time?
16th, Frank, at 2:30 PM, which is next Wednesday.
At 2:30 PM, okay.
Yeah, I cannot attend at that time, but I don't have a problem with, the time and other commissioners if they can make it.
Yeah, and I have no problem, Jim, you're being there. I mean, to represent us or me, so.
Mhm. Okay,
that'd be
Jim, I'd
good.
like to go, but I have an appointment, so I just gotta check on that time. I'll let you know.
No, I can actually make that, that date and time.
good.
Elaine, will you be attending also?
Yeah, I can make it.
Okay, great.
Elaine, just if I may, Mr. Chair, Elaine, should you post that just in case more commissioners show up? That would be a quorum, so it would actually be posted.
It's just a site visit.
Yeah, but I think, it's up to you guys, but if it's not a quorum of the commission, it wouldn't be an issue. But if you have more than a quorum of the commissioners show up, it might be something that would need to be posted under the open meeting law.
I don't think so, because no decisions will be made.
Okay, it doesn't really affect us. I was just being more cautious for the commission.
Okay, so it's the same as any other site visit. The only thing we can't do is we can't decide then and there. We can remember our observations and make decisions when we are back in a scheduled meeting, but it's the same as any other site visit.
Okay,
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to have 4 there, but was anybody else able to make it besides Frank and Jimmy? Teresa is a no.
Right?
Teresa's a no, I'm a no.
I may
I need to check.
I may move things around to attend because I feel like this is an important thing to attend.
Yeah. So it is possible we could have 4 members there, or possibly 5.
It's worth it if you can go, because he is interesting. He's very knowledgeable.
Oh, and the site is a pretty important site, so.
Mm.
Not that all our sites aren't important, but.
Yeah, okay.
All right, is there anything else we need to talk about for Corner Parkway? Brian, anything else on your end?
no, I think that's what we needed to accomplish tonight, Mr. Chair, just to get that scheduled and have everybody rowing in the same direction to get out there and get it done.
Okay,
September 16th at 2:30.
It's next Wednesday. I think that's the 16th, just to make sure so there's no confusion. Yeah, at 2:30. Is that right, Elaine?
Yeah, Wednesday. I'd have to hold on. Let me look at my calendar and make sure Wednesday is in fact the 16th. Yes, Wednesday is the 16th.
And what is the objective of the site visit? Is he going to go to the surveyed locations of the previous line and confirm? I don't know if I missed last meeting. I'm not sure if that was discussed.
He's gonna,
Go ahead, Jim.
no, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He's going to basically confirm his line. So he's probably going to be digging some holes that are up to 5 feet away from the existing ones, or the ones that were there when he first did it. And he's just going to check the soils to see that there's nothing hydric in it. I feel pretty confident, though, it's going to be about the line that he picked before. He's also, Frank, I told him that you had some concerns about other parts of the line, and he's going to address that at the same time. He'll explain why he takes the holes where he takes them. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, sounds good.
And John, we're all flagged, right? With what he wanted, we flagged.
Yeah, we confirmed that all the wetlands flags from the 2011 plan were there, and we plotted up the location of his hydric soil line.
So it's all teed up for him to go.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you, John.
So would you put this on for the next meeting, Mr. Chair? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah,
Can
certainly.
we do that?
We certainly can.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice night.
It'll be September 24th.
Brian.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
All right, next up is 102 New Salem Street. It's file 313594. And this is a notice of intent, continued public hearing to remove existing buildings and septic system and construct 1,600 square foot duplex with associated utilities, parking, and landscaping. We did talk about this at the last meeting, and John Ogren was going to make some adjustments to the plan. And I know he's done that, submitted that to us.
And we had a site visit.
Yes, also site visit. We got a new file though. We got new drawings today or yesterday, I forget which.
Hopefully yesterday.
Yeah, losing track of time. John, I'm gonna, let's see. I'm gonna let you share. Okay. Without giving you the host, where the heck did it go? Did I just lose you guys?
No,
No.
No. I just clicked on something I shouldn't have. And I'll get no video. Hang on, bear with, there we go. All right, John, let's see. Okay. Oh, I've actually forgotten how to do this. It's only been 2 weeks.
the end of summer that did it.
I know how to do it by giving him the, host. Let me just do that for now, John.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you a co-host. Okay, it should be coming through.
Boy, I get all kinds of options now.
You get too much power. Don't stop muting us.
God, it's tiny.
All right, can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, John Ogren, Hayes Engineering. Also tonight with me is Joe Tavano. He's the owner of the property. I was not at the site visit, so I can't really make any comments about that. But in terms of the plan and the changes that were requested by the commission, I can certainly go through those. The new plan was, a revised plan was submitted. One of the items was the commission asked to come up with a dewatering, we're calling it a dewatering station. So if in the event that dewatering is necessary in digging the hole for the foundation, there's a detail on there that they can.
Can I just ask you, can you focus and enlarge what you're talking about when you're talking about it like this, and then also the new, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, so essentially it's basically a silt fence and hay bales surrounded by some crushed stone. So basically what would get pumped, water that gets pumped out of the hole would get pumped into here, where any silt can be removed before it slowly runs along the land and out towards the wetland. Request was to look at reducing the proposed driveway. We took out the turnaround and also shortened the length of the proposed driveway. In doing that, looking at the impervious area for the total site, we're actually reducing the total impervious area by about 100 square feet from the existing condition. Also, the commission had asked to extend the erosion control kind of to the front and to the side of the property to ensure that there's no runoff you know, no silt would run off in any of those directions. Obviously, we left an opening here by the proposed driveway to access the lot. And then we also added a note down here in terms of stockpile material, that stockpile material be surrounded by erosion control, either straw, wattle, or hay straw bales. And I think that pretty much addressed the comments from the previous hearing.
So where is the groundwater elevation here? What's the depth of groundwater?
We've not done any here.
Well, in that sump, John, there was, we could look down and see it. It had to be a couple feet down. You know where the shed is out back? Well, there's a clay pipe in the ground. It was acting probably as a well. And the water in there was, I'm going to guess, I don't know if anyone else has a better recollection, but I think it probably around a couple feet down. So that might be an indicator.
Right, yeah.
Whereabouts was a clay pipe?
It's buried vertical in the ground behind the shed.
Not in the shed, yeah. It was like a. It was
By the shed?
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah, so that if it's a couple feet down, then that looks like it would be around elevation 56, which would be below the cellar floor elevation.
Yeah, okay.
I apologize, I wasn't at last week's meeting, but where is the dewatering station going to be constructed?
Again, if it's necessary, depending, you know, probably on the time of year that the construction goes on. Basically, I just added a note that it's to be determined in the field by the with the Conservation Commission approval.
And you think dewatering will be needed for pouring of the foundation?
Yes.
I know, you know, I drive by there a lot, and I know this was in front of the Concom several years ago. And, you know, I do see frequently, you know, water coming up at the bottom of that driveway. Worried, you know, just curious if you know, you've observed that, or, you know, you think dewatering will be, you know, almost like fighting against the tide to keep dewatered. Do you anticipate going to something bigger, or what, you know, is there a backup plan if you can't keep that excavation dewatered for the foundation?
No backup plan. I mean, if we were to dewater, we would put it, you know, on the side that would flow down towards the wetland. I mean, you know, maybe I have not observed it, but maybe there is some puddling of water out in New Salem Street. Wouldn't surprise me in this area. But obviously this whole area isn't flooded out.
Right, and what I've seen flooded more, if you go to the existing conditions side of the plan, you know, it's probably where, you know, probably down the driveway towards that 60, is that a 66 elevation line? That's hard to tell. I can't tell with that.
No.
The 60 line.
60.
There's a 60. I don't think it doesn't get up to 66.
No,
60
right.
runs
It's
right
60.
across it.
That's about where I've observed groundwater. So I just think it'll be, you know, depending on what time of year and where the water table is, I think, you know, it's going to be difficult. And if you need to go to a more robust type dewatering, you know, do you have a contingency for that? You know, or do you think, what will happen if you can't keep up with the water that's infiltrating? Or would you just regroup and, you know, go back to square one?
I mean, obviously this is, you know, with this dewatering station, the size of it can be varied.
Okay. I mean, you're only talking about, I mean, I would assume that's only, you know, it's only, as you have drawn, a couple of feet high.
Yeah, it's basically just a little bit, you know, you can see the silt fence. It's a little bit higher than a hay bale.
Okay. And for dewatering, I mean, is it usually, I mean, what's the minimum amount of time for dewatering that you'd need to keep the foundation excavation dry?
There's all depending on how quickly it's coming in.
Well, no. I mean, how long overall will you need to keep it dry? I mean, that's independent of how much water is coming in.
Oh, you mean during construction?
Yeah. Is it a day? Is it a week?
No. It would be during the excavation, you know, the forming of the footings and then pouring of the concrete.
And then obviously the concrete has to set, and is that 24 hours usually, or is it longer than that?
No, I don't think all that would happen in a day. Probably in a couple of days.
John, I'd like to comment if you don't mind.
Sure.
Arno?
Yes.
Typically, dig the hole one day. John will come in, pin the footings the next day. Following day, the walls would go in. I've owned the property for a little over a year now, and I also grew up right on Butler Ave, and I am very familiar with New Salem Street and the flooding. And I have New Salem Street flood right in front of Independent, down by Taby, Nardone. There, I haven't seen the water up on New Salem Street in the front of the house, and I've been watching out back, and I've also been watching the basement. It's like I said, I've owned this for over a year now, even though it's dry now. And right now the water is probably about that 50, like Jim said, a couple feet down, maybe 2.5 feet down from there in the back. But I haven't seen any flooding up to that concrete pad where there used to be a garage or any of that area. Site visit. In that the soil is pretty stable there.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that you're prepared in the case, you know, more for your purpose, so you don't have to shut down in the middle of a.
No, and
I've seen.
I'm very cautious, and this is a property. I mean, I own them and I keep them.
Yep.
I'm not going to be digging it during the monsoon season. If it's muddy or whatever, I'll just postpone construction. I'm on no. It's not a fast track project. I'm going to do it.
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
Separately, this is Peter. Should we talk about the sidewalk that we had, that Jim and I and Teresa had, or
Yes, certainly.
would that be the appropriate thing to be discussing? Or?
Sure.
Jim, Teresa, do you have any? I mean, I just didn't know, since we went out there. Usually we talk about it when we do. So.
I don't have anything to say.
I'll just say that when we were out there, the property owner, Joe, indicated that I thought that the impervious surface was going to be reduced even more, but that's okay. It looks like it's not quite as much as he's indicated it might be. But then again, perhaps John convinced him to make it longer than he said it would be.
Yeah, so what was the change from when we were on that site? When we were on the sidewalk, I guess one of the things that I thought was a positive is that the driveway was going to be shorter, and that would have, you know, maybe made the impervious area sort of a wash, or that the turnaround was going to be reduced. You know, based on, because there already was room to turn around, you know, at the sidewalk.
No, and again, my only point is that I thought Joe had said it was going to end where that side, those steps were. That's all. But he obviously decided he needed more space, and I was just following up on that. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did eliminate. We did shorten.
Right.
Driveway from what was originally proposed. And as I said, we're actually proposing less impervious area than what's existing by about 100 square feet.
Oh, because it was 200 feet more. It was like 200 square feet more.
Correct.
Okay, so the change was, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that the change from the original meeting was to decrease the impervious area by about 300 square feet.
Correct.
Okay, that's helpful. One other thing we discussed at the meeting, and I just want to, just so we talk about sort of the rules of the, the rules so that we understand them, is that the backyard, a significant portion of the backyard that's mowed, that's adjacent to the wetlands, is in fact mowed wetland, is wetlands. That was something that it kind of took me by surprise, that when we looked at the wetlands stake, there had to have been 30 feet of mowed backyard that was on the wetland side of the flags. And I know that we had talked about, Jim, I just want to make sure, and Lane, I want you to hear this, because I just want to understand sort of what the rules are in terms of, when you see sort of the, when you see that the wetlands are being mowed, and in the connection with a redevelopment of the property, what is it that we as a, as a conservation commission should be looking at in terms of, some sort of improvement to the wetlands habitat? I'm not sure I fully understand the rules, and I just care about this.
Because there are so many properties in Wakefield that were built before the Wetlands Protection Act, much like this house on this property is. What we have always said was, if you have a lawn now, you get to keep your lawn. If you stop mowing your lawn and a wetland grows up in there, you lose your lawn. But if it's lawn now, it gets to stay a lawn. That's what we've always done in the past. We don't force people to give up their lawns.
Yeah, I think I remember that now, Elaine. Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between here. We're not between giving up a lawn and actually, there's going to be more lawn. The lawn's going to be bigger now than it was because of the the redevelopment is going to create more. It's going to create a bigger backyard, I guess. And I just want to make sure that we bring these things up for discussion. There would still be a lawn. We're not losing a lawn. It just would be decreasing the lawn, I guess. And maybe now I'm splitting hairs, but sounds like no one's persuaded that the rule shouldn't apply.
Well, where exactly is that on the drawing? Is that which side of the
entire back of the
brook
property
line is? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it behind the limit of brook line?
If I may, from where the apple tree is on the left side, there's a tree on the left side right about that 58-foot elevation. The wetland kind of pretty much goes right along the edge of the border. And then when you get almost with the line where it's that 57 and 7/8, then it goes off at an angle right across to where you see that jog on the property line on the right side. Maybe a few feet in, maybe 5 feet closer to Salem Street there. So it's actually a little triangle shape, would be my guess, which is probably pretty accurate right where it is. So it's a square area. I don't know if you had a figure.
So I would say, so you're saying that if you look at the edge of the bordering vegetated wetlands,
yep,
I would say that there is a substantial amount of lawn that's above that line, in the wetland.
The whole back of it, everything behind that line is mowed. Yeah.
That's really what.
On that right side from where the property angles, maybe 5 feet in, over an angle over to where we have the 57.78 elevation showing the 25-foot line border coming up. Right about there is a triangle, pretty much.
So show me, I'm going to look at your pointer a little bit more closely. Go ahead and make that. There I see 1 point there.
Yep. And then
there.
go up. No, Well, yeah, but the wetland goes the other way. So if you go across to the right, and then you can't see it on the screen, you kind of got to screen it up a little. But there's another jog in the property, so it's right up there at the top of the, yeah, right about 5 feet in from
There you go.
there. Right, so if you drew a line as an angle to that 57.78, that's pretty much, I would say, accurate where the area that's
You know, it's funny. I sort of remembered it. I thought it would be maybe it's going back like 30 feet all the way along the border edge, the BBW line.
Yeah, actually, you know, maybe it's not quite an angle. Maybe a little straight, not quite like a 45 degree, but maybe straight across, and then it angles over. But where that twin maple, where it's drawn, where it's showing the coverage, it's probably over right above where it's all where the mowing stops, let's say.
Peter, since that's our policy, I don't see a reason to change it now.
It is identified as wetland in that area. That is past the erosion controls, which would be the limit of work line. So there won't be any work back there anyways.
No, yeah. So it's just a question.
No. It's just a matter of, it was
it's
just
mode. That's all.
I haven't really seen that a lot. I just haven't really seen that a lot where the, you know, there had to have been, you know, there's just a lot of mowed area on the wetland, you know, on the wetland side of that line. You know, there's a lot of lawn that's being mowed there, and a lot of mowed wetland, I guess, is what I'm. And I guess I know that we've had. I guess you're saying we've had a policy, but I really haven't seen. I guess I haven't seen it to that degree on other sidewalks. I really hadn't.
I tend to think at one time that area before all the development went around was drier because there was apple trees further back in the wetland area. And I tend to think there was other stuff back there at one time before all the development in the neighborhood.
And it doesn't surprise me that the water table has gone up. I mean, that the water levels have gone way up. I mean, I think about the railroad tracks, you know, that are not too far away and they're underwater. So,
right. And the moving companies paved all the way back right beside it. And the house on the right and all the houses down, they're all, everything's pitched that way, so.
Yeah, it's just plenty pushing the water over to that direction.
Elaine, I have a quick question. Did we compare this to the last filing, which was, you know, it had to be maybe 5 to 8 years ago?
That was the lot next door.
Oh, it wasn't this particular lot?
Yeah, it was immediately next door to the, it was 110 New Salem, right?
Okay.
Any other questions? No comments?
Peter, did you drug your dog again?
No, but she doesn't have any further comments either.
There's nothing else we're looking for from the applicant, is there?
No.
No, I don't think so. Jim and
Elaine, do you get anything else on this that you'd like to add?
No.
Somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Oh, wait. I'm looking at my notes from last time. And we covered the dewatering. We covered the stockpiling of soil surrounded by hay bales. I do have a note about roof runoff, dry wells.
Yeah, we talked about that, and don't really have the elevations for any Caltex or anything like that. I mean, there might be something you could do, I don't know, John, with crushed stone around somewhere or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. We did briefly talk about that. Did you think about that anymore, John? Any possibility handle?
Well, I thought, you know, we somewhat addressed that in reducing the impervious area from the existing.
Yeah, that definitely is an improvement. Yeah, it's just the elevations don't work on the site with the way it's configured to really put any storage in. It's going to flow towards the back of the property. Let's see, 61.
It's kind of a high point through here.
Yeah, so you got a little bit going towards the street.
And then this flows back.
Most of it heading towards the back. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't, anybody have any suggestions? It doesn't seem to be any real way to handle it. Proposing gutters and downspouts?
Yes.
So you're gonna let the water just run off into the grass probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pretty much equivalent to what's there now.
I'm thinking though, if the water, we said that pipe that we looked down, and that pipe was over by the shed. I think it's where the W is. What was that W?
Yeah, right there, yep.
Is that a well? Is that a well?
It's just a pipe.
It's a pipe, but it was probably a well at one time because they had a pump there and they had a silk hog out there. So they were probably pumping water, groundwater. But I mean, if it's 2 feet down right there, you really don't have a lot of separation.
No, you don't have enough to
play with.
Right. You can't put any Caltex or anything like that.
I don't know what a good solution would be. The only thing I can say is the impervious material areas are pretty far away from the wetland line, so it does have a long travel length. That's the only positive thing I can see.
Yeah, and the way the driveway is pitched, that should run off most of it towards the rear and some slightly towards the front, but that should stay fairly dry or ice-free if it's properly pitched. Yeah, there's about a foot elevation from the midpoint to the rear of the property difference.
I mean, if anything, we'd want the water to run towards the wetland.
Right.
But that's where we're trying to get it to go.
Yeah, most of it will. It looks like just a very small portion at the 61, 61. So the front of the house is also 61, right?
It's a little higher. It's up 62 here.
Yeah, around the perimeter, but then across the end of the driveway.
And then in the driveway, it'll be a little bit higher. Like I said here, there will be kind of a high point where it'll break.
Yeah.
You look at this is the existing 61 and this is the existing 61. So as it is, out there today, there's something similar.
Right. I mean, really, the only thing you could possibly do is pipe the downspouts towards the rear of the property. But you don't really have an opportunity for storage. And the elevations around the house are sloped away, so you will have, you'd be keeping the water away from the foundation, it looks like. Right, we're at 62. So the house is built up a bit.
Yeah, the house sits out from the ground around it.
Yeah, you might want to just look at making sure your downspouts are, either piped away from the house or certainly flowing away from the foundation. Anybody have anything else? Somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion, close public hearing. It's Peter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Teresa,
Yes,
Frank,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. Did I miss anybody? No. Okay, hearing is closed. We can, I don't know if we actually have a 7:30 we're late for, so we're not going to discuss anything as far as order of conditions or anything right now. We can cover that at our next meeting. So we do need to move on to the 7:30 notice of intent public hearing. And that is for 8 Evangelist Way. We don't have a file number yet, or do we?
No, they're backlogged, and with the long weekend, they haven't issued it yet.
Okay, so this is Charles and Lauren Donovan, notice of intent, public hearing, install an above ground pool within 100 feet of a wetland. And I do see Mr. Donovan is here.
It's great.
Hi, are you representing yourself? Or you have somebody with you, or?
So I have Paul
No,
Finocchio.
Bob. I'm up at the top of the screen.
Oh, hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, want to talk to us?
Yes, good evening. Paul Finocchio, PGF and Associates, here on behalf of Charles Donovan, who is the owner and applicant of the property located at 8 Evangelist Way. We do not have a DEP file number yet. I checked the tracking number, and DEP just received the package on Thursday, on the 8th. So they haven't even put in their queue yet. So what we're proposing is putting in a in-ground pool. The property is located within 100 feet of a BVW, and the BVW is located off to the northwest of the property, as shown by where the existing fence is out there, and right behind that is BVW. And that was basically.
Can you bring up the plan on a screen?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me share the screen.
Yeah, go ahead. You should be able to share it now.
Thank you.
Get someone who knows what they're doing here.
Not me.
The drawing. Yes, I got stuff. Okay.
Do you mind muting your
Okay, can you see that on the screen now?
Not yet.
Not
I don't
yet.
see any. Keep working at it.
So at the bottom, you should have the share screen icon.
Yep. Hold on, I'm just trying to. No, it's, hold on, let me get someone else.
Get Jimmy. Jimmy, help him out.
Frank, Judy sent us the filing. Maybe you could put it on your screen.
Yeah, I have it. I have it up here. You want to share, Bob? I can pull it up.
Yeah, hang on for a sec.
On the last page.
We have a copy of the filing. We got an email of it, right?
Yep, I have it up. If you want to give me permission,
All right, Frank,
pull it
you
up.
can take it.
All right.
I was just trying to find the photo of it too. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, no problem.
He has it now.
You guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay. You see it on the screen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paul,
can you see it, Paul?
Frank is actually sharing his screen.
Oh, I get that to share.
He stopped you from sharing.
Oh.
He might have
Yeah,
just
I
taken
was-
over control.
Stepped away and Frank is sharing.
Oh, okay.
I assume this is what you're looking for?
Yep, that's it. I have it on my screen, but it won't share, I guess.
No, I had to hand that over to Frank.
Okay.
So this is Google Earth. So I don't know if you want to, just for scale, here's Lowell Street. Can you see the Google Earth photo?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just sharing that one window then. Okay. So, so to the left of the plan is where it comes in from Lowell Street.
Okay, so where's the BVW?
BVW is up into the north, on the north side of the property, which would be away from the house. There's the weird, sort of like a weird shaped triangle in the back.
Oh, it's along the fence, Paul?
Yeah, along the fence. It's on the other side of the fence.
Oh, wow, it's quite a ways away.
Yeah, we're some 65 feet away, roughly, from the BVW to the edge of the water line of the pool.
Yeah, that's...
And that's the neighbor's yard.
Yeah, it's the neighbor's yard, and then where the actual BVW is owned by the MBTA or the Keolis, whoever owns the railroad tracks.
Future rail trail.
Right, right.
Yes, the B&M Railroad, I guess, still owns it.
What type of slope is there from that pool area back to the fence line, Paul?
It's a gradual slope from the house to from the prop to the fence in the rear corner, up to where the wetlands are. You're talking about?
Right.
It's probably, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 foot elevation change.
Okay.
From front to back.
Over 60 something feet.
Yep.
We lost the drawing.
Right, thank you, Frank.
Is that helpful?
Yes.
Which one is it? Oh, right there.
It's the third house in from the corner.
Yeah.
You have the house to the right has the existing pool in their backyard. Then there's 2 houses down from Evangelista out to Lowell Street.
Right.
Hey, when I move my screen around, it doesn't move everyone else's, does it?
No.
No.
Okay. So, oh, it's over here.
So now I'll go back to the other one. Right. You should be looking at the site plan again.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so you don't have really any contours on here.
No, actually, I didn't do any topography out there. I tried to get the wetlands line basically located and show roughly where the pool is going.
Okay. And so based on, I think, Bob's question, what was the grade difference around the pool?
It's probably, I would say, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet within inside the property where the pool is. And then it's a gradual slope down from the property line out to the wetlands line of I think around 3 feet or so, 3 to 4 feet, I'm guessing.
Is it going to be a heated pool?
I don't know.
You know, they're going to have gas or?
I don't know. Charlie, can you answer that?
Yeah, yep. And I have Ralph on the line from Pool by Andrews as well in case any big questions come up, but it's going to be a gas heated pool.
It's going to be a gas heated pool.
Gas heated pool with salt water filtration rather than chlorine, a little less harmful.
Good, good. Okay.
Can you hear me? This is Ralph from the pool company.
Yes, Ralph, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the water is disinfected with a salt chlorine generator, not filtered. It's disinfected, the water. And it would be a natural gas fueled boiler if, you know, the heat.
Okay.
So Ralph, there is no filter per se?
Of course there's a filter. Yes,
okay.
There's a cartridge filter which
Oh, okay. I
filters
thought you said
debris.
there is no filter. Okay, so there's a cartridge filter.
No,
Got it.
no, no. Someone said that the salt chlorine was a filter. It's disinfection. The
Right.
pool water is
Okay.
disinfected. The pool water is filtered. Now, some of the things that come up with a filter is where does the discharge go when you clean that filter?
Right, when you
This
backwash.
filter is a cartridge filter. It does not, you don't roll out a discharge hose. So you're not putting any dirty water into the wetlands or anywhere. It goes back into the pool.
Right,
And you
so
clean the filter elements themselves when you
Right.
clean it.
right, it's a cartridge type filter with no backwashing.
There you go.
What we'd like to hear.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that's specified in our standard conditions. Don't we have a standard condition for pools and pool filter types? To
Yes.
address that?
Over the years, it's pretty much evolved that is a standard,
Yeah.
way of doing it. Yes.
Right.
How much impervious area are you adding to the lot?
Including the pool and the apron, somewhere around, I think it was like 1,200, I think it's down a little bit. Around 1,200, 1,500 square feet. That's why that's why it's a filing notice of intent, because we're over 1,000 square feet of impervious between the apron and the pool.
We're trying to keep the paving on the house side where if you notice that the back side of that pool is going to be, to bring in plantings or planting areas, and there's no patio or pavers planned for that area.
Is that apron going to be pavers or is it going to be
Yes, it is.
full concrete?
Yes, it is.
Pavers. Okay.
It's going to be pavers. So it's kind of a slow pervious type of surface.
Right. You get some perk between the
Yes.
gaps.
Yes.
Okay.
Will the excavation be done in one day likely?
I haven't had a one-day excavation. I haven't had a one-day excavation in 2 years.
Is it a gunite pool?
Say again?
Is it a gunite pool?
Yes. Charlie wanted the best, so what could I do?
Yeah, just gonna do it.
Paul, do we need erosion controls to the right side of the pool and apron between the property line in there?
I could probably extend that line up there on the right-hand side up towards the house line, I guess. And carry across that way.
Yeah, because there is a neighbor on that side, correct?
Yes, yeah, there's an existing 6-foot PVC fence running down the lot line on that side. The fence on the left is going to be relocated since it's actually on the abutter's property. There's a stockade fence in back that runs, as you can see on the plan. We'll be removing that and putting that right along the lot line.
Okay.
There's also 2 trees that are on site. One is almost directly behind the proposed pool. It's more of a weedy type of tree, but there is a larger tree up there in the triangle that we're looking to take down. That's a much larger tree.
You want to take that tree down?
Yes.
And why is that?
Charlie?
Yeah, there was a tree-sized branch limb that fell on my neighbor's property, and just with these recent storms, we were hoping to remove it as just a safety risk. It overhangs, a big part of the branch overhangs the apron of the pool there. And I got 4 little kids, so I'm hoping to remove that one tree. And also, I was going to plant smaller trees on our property, but you can probably see it. Yeah, maybe the Google view there. Yeah, it's actually, see the big branches. So the existing fence line will move back a little bit, and it's the big tree in the back right. You're on it right there. That's it. It really kind of spreads out at the top.
Huh.
Well,
That changes, that's a big buffer zone tree, right?
I can't tell which is the tree. That's not one. Can you put the cursor on the tree that's coming down?
That
The biggest one.
That entire thing is coming down?
That's one tree.
That's
oh my
one.
gosh, that's huge.
Yeah. It's a big tree. So there was a big branch that fell on that basketball court my neighbors told me about, the neighboring property right there. So you can see a good angle of it right there in between the homes in the back left to that.
Is this your house?
That's my house, the green one. Yep. That's an older, but there's an existing fence there now, but
yeah.
Yep.
Frank, can you go back to the other photo? The one that shows the, the aerial?
That was not a bad one. Is that better?
Yeah.
So the tree that's coming down is going to be, I'm sorry, the tree, it's that big one right there.
Right there, at the tree.
Mm-hmm.
How close to the wetland is it?
That tree is approximately in there. By within 15 to 20 feet.
Oh, okay, that's more like that's more problematic from my viewpoint.
How about if we, Charlie, how about if you trimmed it on that side then, instead of taking it all down?
Right, exactly. Let's trim the overhanging the branches. Gosh.
Yeah, my only thought on it was a big branch had already fallen off of it. So that's why I had asked, I want to propose to take it down.
It's just that that tree could be providing canopy or
Right.
shelter for the wetland, and I don't know where it's such a big tree. I mean, it is supplying a lot of use to the wetland.
Is it disease that when is some reason why it needs to come down?
If it's 15 feet from the wetland, the canopy's going onto the wetland, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Yeah, it's a big canopy on the tree.
Is it a healthy tree? It looks healthy from this, but you can't tell.
Well, look at
where
the
is
size.
should we go look at?
We could.
Sorry.
I mean, can you move the pool a little further away from it? Well, that doesn't work.
Greg, can you flip back to the site plan, please?
Paul, where is that tree, Paul, in relation
It's
to?
That triangle right there.
just that little triangle. It's up towards the back portion of the triangle.
Okay. It's pretty far away from the pool, though, isn't it?
It
Don't
is.
you think, don't you think you could live with that?
That tree is probably maybe like that.
Yeah.
That's a good rendering of where it is.
How big a circle is that?
This big?
It's over 40 feet wide.
No, you're right. The left edge is in line with the smaller tree on the fence line. So
Yeah. So you're some 40 plus feet from that tree to roughly where the hay bales would be.
About 40 feet, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, about an 80-foot diameter.
So would that canopy be right near the hay bale line? Is that fairly accurate?
It may be near it or just over it. It's a. I didn't look up above and get an idea of where where the branches run that tree.
But it's clearly far enough away from the pool where you wouldn't have things dropping into the pool from it.
You probably have leaves in the way, falling in it, but
Well, I mean, is there a possibility of trimming the tree, the branches, maybe trimming back some of the tree branches on that side?
I think we have to be selective trimming because last time we did that, people seem to get a little bit, overzealous about it.
Look like Charlie Brown's.
Just to give you an idea, on Google Earth, it can't be 60 feet wide.
Yeah, I mean, that's an important tree. I really would hesitate on taking that tree down.
That's okay, then we can leave that tree alone. The rest of the project, there's no other major trees over 6 inches wide. There's one, like a skunk weed that grew to a tree size.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with it if you leave the tree.
Good.
That'll work.
Yeah. If there's any dead, branches or whatever, certainly can take those off.
I wouldn't mind getting a picture of the tree for our records.
You could also have, Elaine take a look at it too and see if there's something that's overhanging the neighbor's yard that could be pruned or,
Yeah, I like that. Back. And then Elaine can take some pictures. I think that works out perfectly. This seems to be the only thing that's giving us any heartburn.
Well, with that condition, I'm okay with this. I don't know how about anyone else.
So will the pool remain pretty much full of water throughout the winter? Just drop it below the skimmer line? Is that what would happen?
I'll take that one. Yeah, I'm going to hire a professional pool company that actually does my neighbor's pool to open and close it, but they take it down just below the filter and put on a like a safety cover, the ones you see the elephants sit on in the advertisements.
Right.
There'll be a cover on the pool, and the pool water level will be dropped just slightly.
Okay.
Could I add something here?
Sure.
Yep.
Normally, when especially in DEP areas, once you start putting chemistry in the pool, disinfecting it, within 2 days, it all dissipates into the oxygen. Nothing's left but just pure water. So when they winterize a pool, you just drop it below the light. It just gets dropped down a couple of feet, 3 feet. So it allows it to freeze up in the winter, because the ice is going to rise. So any water that's dumped out of that pool for winterization will have no chemistry in it.
Right.
And so it's just pure water. I mean, most people just put it to the curb and let it go down to the sewer.
Yeah, we've had cases in the past where people have drawn down their pool with very highly chlorinated water.
Right.
And you can imagine what happens with that. That's the only reason why we're asking the questions.
Right. You leave the pool alone. You leave it alone. Don't put anything in it, and it goes out to the oxygen.
Right.
So there would be no chemistry in the water that gets dumped.
Okay. My only other comment would be, if that tree is sick or there's an issue with it, is there an opportunity to replant or plant something? I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. Maybe either in the same area, maybe more than one along that property line, or up on the other side of the fence between the property line and the fence. I'm just throwing that out there as a potential option.
Why are you throwing that out there, Frank?
Well, in case the tree, there was some concern that the tree's health might be an issue, and if it does have to come down for some reason, I mean, it doesn't look, from the pictures like it would need to come down, but if there is a reason why, I just want to be prepared for alternatives.
Well, right now it's not coming down, right? Because the property owner agreed that that's going to stay. So
correct, right.
If it does have to come down, won't that have to come back to us?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay alone you know, as long as you think this plan is okay to move forward other than that.
No, where is the floodplain out here? Is there a floodplain out here? Paul,
No, no.
isn't there a brook behind there somewhere?
There's a drainage ditch, but it's not within the floodplain.
Okay. All right.
I don't have any other comments.
Okay, any other questions or concerns?
So I just want to be clear what you want me to do about the tree, other than take photos of it.
Yeah, take a look at it and see if you feel it's healthy, or if there's anything that should be trimmed off, and take some pictures.
Okay.
We, since we don't have a file number, we can't close the hearing anyways.
I do have a question for you though, Bob. Is it possible if he could start doing some work like taking down that existing stockade fence out there?
I don't see an issue with removing the fence that's on his, you know, that needs to come down.
Okay.
Anybody else have a problem with that, or?
No.
Nope.
I think that's fine. It's not disruptive.
Okay. So we'll continue this until the next hearing on the next meeting on the 24th of September. Elaine will go out there, look at the general health of the tree, take some pictures. You want to coordinate that, Elaine, with Mr. Donovan? In case,
Yes, I'll
yeah.
call tomorrow and arrange something for next week.
Okay. Perfect.
Sounds great.
And Paul, you're gonna, you know, continue.
I'll
the
update my
silk
plan.
fence?
Yes,
You'll
I'll
continue
update the
silk?
plan.
What's
Yes.
that? Okay. All right. That's all we have, I guess, for tonight concerning this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night. Let's see. I think that's it for the regular agenda. All we have now is old and new business. Is that correct, Judy and Elaine?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 26 Shady Ave remediation plan update.
Well, do you want to do 375 Water Street first because he's here?
Oh,
Unless there's someone here for 26 Shady. I didn't see anyone.
yeah, we can do 375 Water first. That's fine. Discuss concrete garage floor.
Oh, right.
Hey guys. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, the side, I think you guys received my email, or hope Judy sent it around, but we're renovating the garage. Half of the existing garage at the moment has a, it's like some sort of asphalt mixed with gravel flooring. So we're just looking to pour a slab on top of it to make it smooth. I think Judy had me calculate the cubic footage. It came out to about 130 cubic feet. I think that's all I had. Happy to answer questions.
You said 150 cubic feet?
130. That's assuming the max, kind of what the size would be, but would likely be a little less than that.
Okay, so it's in the floodplain, correct?
Yes.
So it's about 25 wheel rows. Anyone have comments on it?
I'm not sure if everybody saw the email, but this is what was
Yeah, I don't
in the email.
recall seeing this one.
Yeah, I saw this one. So the yellow is the drainage area?
Yes.
I mean, it's a huge, how big an area is that, do you know?
3.5 acres, maybe 4 acres. It was large. I don't know if it says it on the bottom.
Okay. And you're opposed to taking out what's in there now and putting something down on after you take the old stuff out, or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna scrape off the asphalt and just put the concrete instead of it.
Oh, so you're gonna move the asphalt out?
Just not move it out, just scrape it so the concrete sticks to it, if that makes sense. Just
okay.
We're not digging or anything. It's just I'm gonna put probably, I don't know, 2-3 inches. I think the math I had done was 4, just to be on the safe side. But just on top of that, just to make it smooth, so it's not.
So you're putting 4 inches of concrete over the entire floor, right?
Max, probably closer to 3, but max 4.
And that come out to what volume?
133, assuming the 4.
Okay.
So basically just pouring a slab on top of the existing floor.
Correct.
About 5 yards.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
I don't see any issues. Anybody else?
No.
Jimmy, what do you think?
What do I think? I think it's probably an insignificant amount that could be absorbed by the drainage area. So I think it's minor.
I mean, it's inside the garage anyways.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Do you want us to take a vote?
Yeah. Let's take a vote on
What are we voting on?
approving the, basically it's a pouring of a slab.
A filing on this? I'm confused with the procedure.
Hey, just for background, I was talking to Ben in the building department, getting the building permit, and he just wanted me to run it by you guys to make sure there's no concerns. So I had shown him the email that I sent you guys, and I told him I was going to call in to this meeting, just make sure there's no concerns. So I don't.
Teresa, it's a loss of volume in the floodplain, so without compensation.
But it's already inside the building.
I don't understand. It's all, just
well, it doesn't matter if the building floods.
Right, but it's an existing structure already.
Right, so I don't understand how you're increasing it.
Yeah, but water can still come up into that space. Will be, it's not.
If you're putting something on top of it, it affects it.
Yes, because you're losing that volume. Unless the floodplain comes below it, you're losing that volume. But I really think, like I said, it's a big drainage area, and I think, 5 yards is not a lot of water.
Is there permanent drains under the slab right now?
It wouldn't make any difference, though.
Well, it depends on what the elevation is, of course.
It's just strictly volume. That's it. It's displacement of volume. That's all it is.
Volume.
Does water come up now in that space?
Yeah, I've never seen water.
Well, it has to be a 100-year flood event, so.
Yeah. And I mean, the house, the basement is from that level, another, I don't know, call it 6 feet under, and I've never seen water in the basement, so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we have to vote on it. I think if we don't identify any issues, I think we can say as a commission that we don't have any issues.
I think it's better to vote on it only because there's such neighborhood interest for whatever reason.
So what would, what would the vote be?
To approve the pouring of the slab so that it's memorialized in his file, in his previous file. So if there are any questions from the neighbors, then it's shown that the commission reviewed it and approved it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The only other thing would be, is it an expense thing is why you can't change, take the asphalt out, or what would be the reason why you wouldn't do that?
I mean, you would typically with pouring a slab, you would typically put a few inches of gravel underneath it anyway. So
yeah, but asphalt is not the best material to put under concrete.
It's like asphalt and gravel mixed together. Judy, I forget if I had sent you a picture, but
You did.
I don't know how to describe. I don't know if I can pull it up here. I'll have to email it to myself, but it's not like a driveway asphalt. It's like asphalt and gravel mixed together.
It's like a loose, yeah.
So so that's why I figured instead of taking it out, putting more gravel underneath or packing more gravel underneath is easier.
Are we sure it's in the floodplain?
Yes.
Okay, well, the fact is that we'd be approving the filling of the floodplain without compensation. And everyone has to be okay with that determination, because that's what we're saying.
Again, if we're going to vote on it and take an official vote, I'd like something worded, and I'm not sure I'd be willing to. I mean, we really can't. Will we be able to approve putting this in, filling up, which is essentially resource area, which is not allowed under the Wetlands Protection Act?
I don't understand why there's not a formal filing. Since when do we vote on something that's, right. I just don't understand. Again, I hate to be so procedurally oriented, but I'm not understanding this. How it comes before us.
Because this is what Jimmy asked for.
I have a question. If it's inside an existing garage, which is already taking up area of the floodplain, and the flood waters don't remain outside the garage, then how can it be filling up floodplain?
Well, it wouldn't be in the floodplain then.
Well, that was my point.
Well, the floodwaters will come up from underneath. So right now it comes up into the garage if it was to come up, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I've always thought of floodplain as surface water flow, not groundwater rise.
Well, yeah, you're right, Elaine. It's surface water flow, but I mean, it's all about elevation, anyways.
Right. Well, groundwater becomes surface water when it becomes, above the surface.
It is a small amount, I mean, when you consider the area it's going into.
How thick is that base material now in that garage area? Do you know how deep it goes?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it fairly loose, or is it solid or compacted?
It's fairly loose on the top. I mean, it's fairly loose on the top. I just don't know how deep, or if they just threw it on, just a small layer. I don't know.
I mean, it almost sounds like it is a base material that you would put under something.
Yeah, it just, again, I'm not in the construction business. It just looked a little stickier to me so that's why I'd called it asphalt type. But again, Judy, I think you had seen the pictures too.
Yes.
Help me out.
It was definitely a loose.
Yeah.
It would look like, it didn't really look asphalt, but it wasn't straight gravel.
Judy, do you have pictures that you could share?
So I have a question. If somebody flood proofs his basement, does that mean he's displacing flood water in the floodplain? because the water used to go into his basement and flood his basement, and he waterproofs it. Does that mean he's taking up floodplain?
I think basement's impervious, isn't it?
Yeah, but that basement provides storage. And then he floodproofs it.
Is that no water?
Isn't this the same thing?
Right.
But we don't prevent people from floodproofing their basements.
Right.
Right, but we're not adding a volume of concrete to the basement.
What difference does that make?
I mean, we're taking an existing condition and we're adding a volume of material. We're adding essentially a concrete slab. And
How much higher will the floor of the garage be as a result of the pouring of the slab? Like 4 inches?
4 inches max, 3 to 4 inches.
3 to 4 inches.
But we're still below the floodplain elevation. So you're displacing flood storage by adding on, correct? I mean, it seems simple to me, but I'm not, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong.
So suppose he were to floodproof his garage.
And with 3 inches of material on the floor.
But to Elaine's point, if you were to seal that material,
yep,
and make it waterproof, it would have the same effect.
It would.
You know,
losing the entire footprint of it.
I don't think that follows good logic, but I mean, you could have someone put a huge building in there and say it's floodproofed in the floodplain, and we've never done something like that. I just don't think it's a significant volume of water for the flood area that it's going into.
Right, but if we're asking to vote on it, and we're asking to say, can we put this material, you know, in a floodplain? Can we add 5? Can we take away 5 yards? Well, I guess it goes back to the original question: is that flood storage right now? And maybe you're bringing me onto your side. Is that flood storage, Jimmy, right now? That garage?
I don't even know if we're even close to the flood. I mean, usually this stuff is got a ground survey to tell you what the topography really is. So, I mean, he might not even be in the floodplain. I don't know where it is on this plan, but
well, let's assume he was. Right now, I don't think we can account we can't count the garage as flood storage, right? So let's turn it around. If an applicant came in and said they wanted to build a garage in a floodplain, we would say no, because you're taking up flood storage, right?
Right. Unless you elevated it or provided compensatory.
So it's already there. So he wouldn't be adding and subtracting no matter what he does in that garage. So I think I'm coming onto your side. I think I understand, and I would just say that the floodplain, you know, that flood storage is not impacted by a slab that's put inside a building, inside the existing structure. Does that make sense?
Works for me.
I think that it's kind of what I've been trying to say in not a good way.
No, I was just thinking of it, you know, as in a different way. So I think, you know, I think I'm in your court now, and that might just be our finding, is that there's no increase.
What are we voting on exactly, Frank? Can you repeat that?
Well, I think we would say that construction, we might not even need a vote. I think we just determined that the addition of a slab in an existing structure is not taking up flood storage. The end.
Okay.
And there's no reason to vote. Or maybe we vote to agree on that premise.
Does the building inspector expect something in writing from us? What does he expect?
He just wants a yes that it's okay.
And how are we going to convey to him that it's okay?
Call him and say that's fine. Yeah.
So I think what Frank just said, and he can repeat it, I think, you know, I can agree to that.
Anybody else thinking of it differently? I mean, think about it. I mean, if he puts a, you know, say if he pulls in a, you know, decides to put a swimming pool, like a little child swimming pool inside the garage, that's not taking up flood storage if it's in an existing structure. I mean, it's the same thing. You're putting in something in a structure. So,
right. If this was a indoor pool, it'd be the same situation.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
so what do you think, Peter?
Just out of curiosity, in a garage where, you know, by definition, it's open. So my point is only that you can't waterproof a garage as to the, you know,
but again,
have a garage door that opens, right?
If you think about it in this manner, I mean, you can have a watertight garage door. Think about it in this manner.
Oh, you could. Wait,
if
you
the
open
applicant,
up a garage. If you go to open up a garage, and it's there's 5 feet of, you know, there's 4 inches of water built up all around the perimeter, and you go to park your car in the garage, and you open up the garage door, what's going to happen?
So think about it the opposite way. Say the applicant came in and said, I want to build this garage in the floodplain. And he says, oh, but don't worry, I'm going to open my garage door and let the floodwaters come in. So I'm not taking up the flood storage. That sounds a little ridiculous, right? So I think that it's not an issue. I don't think that he's
Now, can we go back to agreeing to Frank's statement?
It's not, I think the simple statement is it's not taking up flood storage volume because it's inside a structure.
Agreed.
See to that?
Good.
Okay.
So to Judy's point, if we vote on that.
Nope, don't even bother voting.
Okay.
We'll just let the building inspector know.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. Alvin, I just wanted to let you know, there is a meeting set up about your neighbor's property in 2 weeks. So I'll get back to you after that and let you know how that's going to roll out. Okay.
What are you talking about, Judy?
The next door neighbor, he had a problem putting up the fence.
For the same project? On the same
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
Not the same property, not related to
Same property, right?
Yeah, sorry.
The stakes were moved, the surveying stakes, when he went to put up the fence.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's being worked on.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we all set with this?
I am.
Okay, I guess we can move on then, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Good night.
That was interesting, huh?
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
That's the first for everything, I guess. All right, 26 Shady Ave remediation plan update.
Okay, so I'm not sure where we last left it. The plan was to speak to the trucking companies that had dumped the soil at 26 Shady Avenue and get them to participate in the cleanup.
Right.
Right, okay, so you're aware of that. So I took some vacation time, so I haven't had a chance to call them yet. So I'd like to ask this to be rolled over to the next meeting.
Okay.
Did anybody identify the source of those soils that were imported?
There was the company name on the truck.
Yeah, was it from? I mean, was it from a residential or undeveloped area? Was it engineered material?
The material itself, it looked like it was bark mulch to me. Like someone cut, chipped up trees and
Oh, really?
put it, well, at least in that one area.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
said
so
it came from another residential project.
Okay.
yeah, definitely mulch material on the left of the rear. The little, I don't know what you want to call it, cutout area, semicircular area. And then in the rear of the property were the spoils from the dredging of the stream and other fill in that area, and trees were taken down. All right, so Elaine, you're gonna try to reach out to the
Trucking
company. Were there two different companies, or was it the same name on both trucks?
I think it was two different ones. We have photographs of the companies. I've got the information.
Okay. All right, do we have anything else to cover tonight?
22 Grandview, certificate of compliance.
That's right. Elaine, have you been out there?
I was out there this afternoon, and they've got the infiltration structure in. They have complied with the new revised plan that they submitted and was approved a couple of months ago. I took a look at the planting down below the wall, and Jerry Zingarello had put in a number of plants. I think it's just too dark back there. So some are thriving, some that were able to handle the shade. But I think it's about as good as it's going to get. And it's still a thriving wetland back there. So I would recommend a certificate of compliance.
Okay.
Somebody already that there was a stone swale that was specified that wasn't installed.
Well, yeah, Paul admitted that in his cover letter. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened was when they switched the driveway, they did not install the swale because the grading was a bit different. But what they did do was they put in a infiltration structure, not an infiltration structure, like a French drain sort of a thing, at the edge of the property before the water goes into the wetland. So basically what they've done is they have not channeled the water in a swale, but let it go overland until it reaches, so it's a broad sheet flow that then goes into like a French drain at the edge of the property before it reaches the wetland. So it has a lot of time to clean, a lot of time to slow velocity, and then it hits that stone French drain to do a final polish before it goes into the wetland.
So that's in lieu of the swale.
That's in lieu of the swale. And I think it's better because it slows down the velocity, and you've got the polish from the grass, you've got the sheet flow, which makes it broader. So you have a wider area of cleaning, and then you have all the stones at the edge.
Okay. Was that the only?
You'd recommend that we approve the certificate of compliance then, Elaine, yeah?
I do.
Okay, so any other discussion on that?
I don't know. I'd like to. How do we memorialize that discussion? I mean, if someone comes back 10 years from now and says, "Well, why didn't you require the stone wall swale?"
Would we have an as-built, right?
We have an as-built.
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, like all that stuff Elaine just said, how do we get that on the record? Is it just in the minutes now? I mean, I do like what she said, and it sounds like a good solution. But if someone comes back in 10 or 15 years and said, "What, why did you allow that to happen that way?"
Well, we have the as-built and we have the original drawing.
Right. But the as-built doesn't talk about the benefits.
Why can't Elaine put what she said in a letter? Because I think that's important too. Because a lot of times you don't pick up stuff on plans, but if you read the facts about it, a lot of times it makes more sense.
That's a good point.
I think Frank's got a good idea.
I can put. You want me to put a note in the file?
Yeah.
Okay.
describe your reasoning behind it, why you accepted it or why we accepted it.
Why it was a good idea.
Does the plan call out that French drain structure?
The original filing did, but the as-built doesn't have it. What, Elaine, to make it easier for you, I would throw that back to Paul, because Paul wrote the letter, and just say, can you explain the benefits? I mean, that's something that, if I was doing that work, I would have done.
Right.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Can you call out the location of the structure?
Yeah, and most importantly, its benefits of, how it's beneficial in lieu of the stone swale. Again, just so it's memorialized, because that's an important discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, have Paul do that. And you can even coach him a little bit with the stuff you just said.
All right.
And that has to be signed because he needs it by next week for a closing.
Judy, I sent it to you. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll take it around this weekend?
I will try. As long as I have 4 signatures, that'll be fine.
Yeah, so as long as he gets it by Tuesday, he'll be able to make his closing.
Right.
Judy, has the town gone to electronic signing? In our company, we've been using DocuSign as a way to get signatures. Has anyone looked into that yet?
They haven't. I don't know that DEP allows it. That came up
True,
during one of the school meetings during the lockdown.
Got it.
And some people started using it and then they ran into problems.
I'm not sure if the Registry of Deeds would accept it.
The registry doesn't, because some towns had chosen one designated signer, and then some documents went through, but then they started getting kicked out from the registry.
I mean, there is electronic filing of real in the Registry of Deeds, some deeds. So, but not all. So you need
right.
original signatures.
Yeah.
Until that happens, I think it's anything that has to be recorded has to be original.
Right.
Another day, another time.
Right. Yep. That crack security they have at the Registry of Deeds.
No, our firm is now, we're doing DocuSign too all the time. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Another scintillating meeting as always.
Yes.
It's very, it was very philosophical, that whole bit about the garage floor. I'm gonna have some more deep thoughts about that. So I'm sure.
Yeah, have a gin and tonic, and then think deeply about it.
Hey, we do need to vote on this certificate of compliance.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the request for a certificate of compliance pending the revised letter from Paul. Can I do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I just did.
All right. We do have a second. Okay, Ken.
Yes.
Jimmy.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. I think I got everybody. All right. So that matter is resolved.
If you want to text and just let me know, I mean, I'm around, but let me know. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Judy, I'll be leaving straight from work tomorrow. Won't be back till Sunday at some point.
Okay. All right. I'll let you know if I don't have the 4 signatures, then I'll let you know.
Okay. I have to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to be around during the day.
Any other business?
Are you going back? Are you back in your office, Peter?
No, but I just had to have a couple of brief meetings. You know what I have to do? I have to actually notarize a few things, meet and notarize some documents. And I don't want my, since I'm the notary, I have to, I'm going to have to take a training. Yeah. And so if I'm going to go in, I'm going to spend it. I got a bunch of stuff that I can do if I'm in. So how about you? Are you all exclusively from home, or are you?
Actually, in a couple of weeks, I want to start going in a couple of days a week. We're doing but at 50% capacity though.
Are you going to, wait a minute, is this a reduction of your schedule or your?
No, not my capacity.
Oh.
50% of the firm's capacity.
Oh, okay.
The governor only allows 50% of officers to be.
Right. So I'm going to ask you, are you take the train in or not?
I'm driving.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'm a train guy still. There's only like, the last time I was in, went in on Wednesday, there was only one other person at the stop in Greenwood to get on the train. And there was maybe 2 other people on my train car. So it's safe right now. It's going to change, but for the time being, it's actually pretty deserted on the train.
Hey, we haven't actually adjourned yet.
Oh, sorry.
Is there any other business at all we need to discuss, Judy or Elaine?
Nope.
I don't have anything else.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
And Peter?
Yes.
And I do vote yes. So I guess that would be a good night then.
See you in a couple of weeks.